Risk taker, businessman, sports and entertainment promoter, and passionate about making Florida the best place to live, shop, work, and play. It's time for the Joe Mullins Radio Show.
Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins, and we want to welcome you this weekend to Live, Work, Shop, Play Florida. And I've got a special guest with me. I've got Aaron Huntley, who is the chair of the Orange County Republican Club. Aaron, welcome to the show today.
How are you? Thanks for having me on.
We're doing great. You know, I thought things would calm down when the election ended with Trump winning by such a majority. I thought our country would come back together. And I have seen nothing, and our listeners have seen nothing but chaos since this president won. And it's shocking because you thought with the House, with the Senate, and with the White House that this president could move at a pace and get things done unbelievably. But now we're seeing immigration, which is one of the top issues in the election, is being challenged in many different states. They're doing crazy things, but not by the Republicans, not by the Democrats, not by the House, the Senate, or the White House. It's being challenged by judges, which is unbelievable that these judges think that they were elected to make policy and turn around and tell our country how we need to live and be able to support people like these MS-13 gang members that this judge in New York is doing, arguing that he has a right, arguing that he has freedom. Now, we know the far left is behind all this, but what is going on with these judges, and why do they think they're entitled to be able to tell this country how it should operate? I thought they were there to enforce the laws that we created.
Right. Well, I think we're seeing an extension of what has happened to Donald Trump since he came down the escalator before he ran in 2016. It's the same thing, it's just a little bit of a different game plan. So they may not be attacking him personally or his businesses, but now they are coming after his policies, which is really coming after the American people and what they voted for. Everyone, wants to be safe. Every time I knock on doors, public safety is paramount to voters. They care about their neighborhoods and communities. And when they hear about things happening locally as well as across the country, it's very worrisome, especially us that back the blue and care about our law enforcement that have to enforce the laws, and then things get flipped upside down by the courts. And it seems that we're kind of fighting the same battle, but in a different method. And I think we just need to call on all the prayer warriors who worked and prayed through the last few elections to make sure that we had constitutional conservatives elected. We just need to continue to pray for our country. If we step off the gas as far as our activism, our work, and our prayers, then I think we'll get the same results. But if we continue to press on, we can trust that the Lord will continue to bless our country. So I would just encourage everyone to stay activated and keep praying for our president and our leaders.
Now, Aaron, you came on a few months ago, and so did the former ambassador of Denmark, Carla Sands, and both of you guys resonated the same thing. We were talking about a big victory. We were talking about how great the country felt, how the majority of the country got behind President Trump, and both of y'all warned heavily, hey, it's not over. They're not leaving. They're not going to give up that easy. The midterms are coming. They're going to attack there. They have a game plan to attack us. And the Democrats, the far left Democrats, the far left right, usually has a game plan set up, and it's used with the media, which is one of their biggest tools. It's used with a lot of funding from liberal, countries that want to come in and have a stake in our country. So we're seeing this. We're seeing what you guys said several months ago. It's not over. Just this past week, a judge turned around and ruled that Florida's immigration policy was unconstitutional and that we could not deport illegal citizens in this state. It's on a hold now. What do we do? What do we do to combat this? Because now we've got judges that are saying our vote doesn't matter, our election doesn't matter. That was the number one issue in the election, was immigration. Now they're saying it doesn't matter, that they want to overturn it and they want to allow these gang members to stay and live freely in our country.
Right. Well, I think it's definitely frustrating to a lot of us, and when we know the overwhelming majority of people want to have, a safe country, a closed border, and to watch this happen. But what I would do is just encourage everyone to not get distracted. If you take the bait of the people screaming on the street corner or going to a Tesla dealership and screaming at everyone that bought a Tesla because of Elon Musk, or sitting down at City Hall and yelling about the Doge program, all of that is pure distractions. And honestly, what I tell people all the time is let the Democrats do that. Let them go out, spend their time, their money. They're paying activists to go out there and hold signs that are pre-printed, and let them do that. In the meantime, we have to continue to increase our majority in all the different places. It's because the midterms will be here before we know it. So when you see people on the street corner screaming about Elon Musk, you should activate in your brain somewhere, how can I register more conservatives? How can I register more Republicans in our state? How can I make sure our candidates are supported locally that can flip seats and make sure that we are winning more and more on the local level? Because the more, if we just get frustrated and start being keyboard warriors, that will not change the game. We need to continue to work to get the right people elected, and then, just keep pressing forward with our legal teams to overturn some of these things that have been going on.
Aaron, you talk about Doge, and I think it's a wonderful program. We're finally revealing what we knew was going on. The old government hammer for a $500,000 that's purchased. The stuff we used to see in the 80s, we're now seeing they've creatively moved it to other areas, created these fake charities. But this is equivalent to your neighbor coming over and knocking on your door and saying, hey, I saw who stole your lawnmower, this person, and them grabbing a gun and screaming and yelling at you, telling you to get off your lawn. You're sitting there scratching your head going, wait a minute, all I did to come over and tell you is to help and let you know what was going on, hence Elon Musk. And now they're attacking which is violently attacking his business, his character, his job. They're attacking Republicans. It's almost like we don't want to see what is really going on in this country. We don't want to see the proof of what we've been told is going on that the media denies. How do you stop this? How does the Republican club combat something like this?
So our mission is to win elections. The Republican Party is the election machine. So our mission is full on to, we don't run debates and all these different things. We really focus on winning elections and the math behind winning elections. We know what we can win. We know what we can flip, and we work on that. But what I would say is, with everything that's going on, it's very frustrating to a lot of our people who volunteer and then have to watch, be screamed at. I'll be honest, every day we get a few voicemails into our party office, which is near downtown Orlando, that are people just screaming. And the funny thing is that the script is the same. So it's almost like they are sending out a script to people and saying, call these Republican parties and try to, bash volunteers and get them on the phone. And they leave the same scripted voicemail of, how they want to make sure that, Elon Musk goes away, and some of them are threatening. So while we kind of laugh at that, we know we have our job and our role to do, and we will continue on that. But it seems like all that can really be a distraction to people like us that are on a mission. But I would just continue to encourage people, do not get distracted with that. And also be encouraged. A lot of times in history, you see movements where there's, constant messaging and, things, we have the media saying a lot about how terrible, everything is in our country, and Donald Trump is terrible, and the, conservative movement is really on the wrong track. A lot of times what happens is when people keep seeing the same message over and over, they start to question if that's real or not, because it almost seems like it's, made up in a way that it's fake. And so here we have a movement that's saying the same thing over and over again. But we have people kind of questioning, wow, is that reality? Or are they just trying to, push a narrative? And I tell people all the time that we have, a lot of us are concerned about the schools and the content of the instruction in our schools. And, if we have leftist leaning teachers who are, instead of teaching students how to think, they're telling them what to think. Eventually, teenagers are naturally rebellious and trying to figure out the world. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of young people, especially the ones that voted for Donald Trump, are really questioning what has been told to them over and over and over, and that the government needs to take care of you and you need to follow this program. And all of that really, when you tell the same thing over and over and over, people start to sort of rebel and question. And we have a lot of that going on right now. And there's a lot of different populations that are questioning what they've been told by different institutions and now seeing the light of, the freedom and opportunity that comes with less government and more personal empowerment.
Aaron, you mentioned something that reminded me of something that was brought to my attention on Facebook in Lake County. There's a political page, and this De La Cruz lady was on there ranting and raving about immigration, saying that it's wrong, that we need to allow everybody in the country. And I said, I thought to myself, that's easy to say when you're an immigrant and you're coming in and you're now telling everybody the world, you're telling our country how do we need to treat the world, not us telling them. But she got on there and made a comment about, can y'all give us something to write to all the congressmen and all the House of Representatives and all the state senators? Can you give us something to write to them? Give us a script. She used the words, give us a script, and we'll all start sending it in. They're not even hiding that anymore. It is a planned script. It is something that they're sending in from fake Facebook accounts, fake emails, to make themselves sound like they're the majority or there's a large movement to it. I saw this when I was a politician. I saw more fake Facebook accounts saying the same thing. And I could always trigger and tell this is the same person because they would use a certain dialogue and certain regional language that you hear in our country. And I said, I know this is the same person. This can't be someone from the Midwest that's coming in, that many people saying this. So you can see it clearly. But Orange County, it's one of the biggest counties we have. It's one of our biggest listener bases. We've just seen some amazing things occur over there. You guys are doing a great job, but we saw the mayor just recently back down because of the strong work the Republican clubs and our Republican leadership has pushed and done, back down to the Attorney General and say, we're not going to make Orange County or Orlando a sanctuary city. That's the hard work of clubs like yours and organizations like yours. How do people get more involved in that and be able to have that voice, to be able to stop politicians like this in their tracks?
Right. So we would love to have more people involved. The Democrats pay people to do this work, and we rely on amazing volunteers and activists who are excited to elect the right people to local offices. So our website for the Orange County Republican Party is orangesl.gop, orangesl.gop. And on there, you can sign up for our mailing list. You can see our events. We have calendars. We have a lot of organizations here within Orange County that are young Republicans, Republican women's groups, faith-based groups that are doing the work to get the right people elected. And you can see all those events there. One of them that we have coming up on May 15th is our legislative recap, where we will be hosting the Republican legislators from Orange County, including Senator Broder, Senator Truenow, and Representative Stark and Representative Bankson, and hopefully others. We will be at the Orange County Firefighters facility in East Orlando area, and it'll be a great event so you can hear the work that has been done by the people we've worked hard to elect. And we're proud of them and what they've been accomplishing. And it'll be neat to hear about their bills that they've gotten across the line.
Now, Aaron, we've got, a couple of big elections coming up and some big things. But before we talk about that and the midterms, you guys have done an amazing job of holding the current legislation accountable, making sure that they stay communicating with the public. Matter of fact, you have an event coming up soon. Tell us a little bit about that event and how it brings accountability and transparency to the city of Orlando and the cities all around the state of Florida.
So our legislative recap is all Republicans on May 15th in the evening, 6 p.m. And it's a $10 admission fee. And it'll be an amazing time to hear from our state senators and state representatives on the bills that they've worked on that locally impact us here. You'll see some agriculture ones that also we have some bills that our representatives worked on that help our fire and first responders. Also bills about school attendance and many other issues that impact us here locally. So we can hear about all of those that they've been working on over the past few months in Tallahassee as they head back here, back home to their constituents and tell everyone what they've accomplished. So it's a good opportunity to hear all of the different elements. All of our representatives and senators have different passions and constituent issues. So it's also interesting to hear from different corners of our county what's really important to the voters there and how our elected representatives got those ideas and those bills across the line.
We'll be having an event. We'll be speaking to the legislation and holding them accountable. We have some seats, and let's shift a little bit. We've been talking to Aaron, the chair of the Republican Party. There's also another side of you that I want our listeners to know, a side that I'm very proud. I'm very proud that you didn't only volunteer and get involved in the Republican Party, leading that organization, but you've also stood up and you have decided that you're going to throw your name into one of the nastiest games in the world, and that's the elections and politics. I know it. I've been there. I've seen it. I walked in one day and was loved by many, and then all of a sudden, that loved to come to our sporting events and loved to come to our shows, and then all of a sudden the same people that loved me started attacking me and hate me because I didn't follow along with their political views or be allowed to manipulate. You have thrown your name into a race that should not have even been against a Democrat. It's a widely held Republican seat, but a lot of people just underestimated and said, oh, this seat will never turn blue. It'll never go that way. Well, just as we almost saw in Flagler with our congressional race and we've seen with some of our races, this seat did go blue, but you have decided to fight back and get in there and get involved. Tell us a little bit about that and what made you make that decision.
Sure. Well, a lot of the decision that our family made for me to jump into getting more Republicans elected is a lot of the same reasons why I decided to jump into the race for House District 45. We've lived in this district for over 16 years, raised our children here. They've played Little League here, and we've taken our kids to every playground in this district, and now we're teaching them how to drive here in this district. So it's been a big span of time for our family. We love this area and the families and the businesses and industries that are represented here. So I'm proud to be running for the Republican nomination and to win this seat back for the Republican team. The primary is in August 2026, and the general election is November 2026. So we're in early, and we're working hard and to continually understand the issues of this area so we can make sure we can deliver results for the constituents here. So we're thrilled for it. Our kids are activated and excited. Now that we have a couple of drivers, my one son said, Mom, I can drive you to events if you need, I can help. And my other son was telling me the other day that he was excited to help me knock doors in a certain neighborhood because the houses were a little bit closer together and he thought he could get more doors faster. So it's interesting how the kids get involved and are excited to be part of the process. And, that's really why we're in this. It's for our future. I refuse to watch our country go down a path of less opportunity for our children. The American dream has been alive and well for almost 250 years, and we're staring into a future of our country if we can't get the debt under control and get our laws aligned with what people want, we just won't have a country for them to hand to them that will have the same opportunities as the one that was handed to me by my parents. So instead of sitting around on the sidelines and hoping it'll get better, we've jumped in, and we are excited to learn more and find out what will really continue to make our district one of the beacons of freedom for the rest of the state.
One of the biggest reasons that I've seen people say, hey, we need to get Aaron in is your track record that you have in Orlando. You've been a very strong voice. You've not stood down to the fights. You have come and fought hard and stood strong when nobody was there, and all of a sudden an army joined you from behind. But you've always looked at me and said the same thing. I don't fear it. I don't fear the fight. I come with God, and I know I'm going to be strong with him. And it's one of the qualities that I love about you that I think more of our elected leadership should have. Now, besides that race being a very crucial one for our state and for Orange County, what are some other crucial races and issues that will be coming up in the midterm elections?
Sure. For Orange County, we are experiencing Orange County's redistricting on the county commission level right now. So Orange County loves big government and decided to vote to have 2 more commissioners added. So right now we have 6, and they're adding 2 more. So we're redistricting, so changing the lines for the 2026 election. So we are recruiting candidates to run, but it's kind of hard to recruit when we don't know where the districts will be. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but we've been working really well on this project, and we're excited to have some fantastic people who are interested in running in 2026 or 2028 for these county commission seats. And that's really where we are focused on the county party level, is to make sure that we have some strong candidates there, as well as school board. So if you think about the ways that candidates get recruited for either federal seats or state level seats, there's not really a mechanism for that on the county level. So that responsibility falls to the county party, and we take that very seriously. We help with all elections up and down the ballot, but we personally take on the county and municipality level elections and make sure that we have candidates in those races and help them do what it takes to win. So we're excited to focus on that. We feel like we'll have some great traction in 26 and 28, depending on redistricting. And we're watching that. Those districts should be settled out by September, and then they'll be off to the races. We also have Orange County mayor's race in 2026. There's one Democrat filed, and we have a Republican who's also filed, Chris Messina. And so we're thrilled to have conservative voices stepping up and giving options to the voters.
Now, Aaron, what are some of the issues that we need? Certainly, we saw marijuana on the ballot this past election. I know it will be back. There's no doubt. But are there other issues that you fear? I know immigration probably will come up. Some other issues that people need to be aware about and concerned that will possibly be coming.
Right. So that's a definite issue. And I think a lot of Central Floridians are very concerned about that because it impacts our tourism industry. And a lot of people here either work in the tourism industry or have a business that is impacted by it. And we're very protective over our jobs in the way that we are able to have a great industry here in Central Florida. So the marijuana is a concerning issue for a lot of people here. The other issues that we see a lot here locally are infrastructure. There's a lot of our municipalities that do a good job with that, but the county government has not done a good job with infrastructure and planning for some of the newer areas in this county that there's building and new homes going in. And to refocus our county government on what the charter says, which is, protect the people who live here and provide the infrastructure that's needed, to refocus on that instead of more state or national issues is really the goal of the Republicans who would like to be elected to the county commission. Get back to the mission and deliver for the people. And I think if we continue to do that, we'll continue to see more and more Republicans get elected throughout the whole state, as well as here in Central Florida.
Aaron, I want to thank you for joining us. What an amazing show this is, bringing a lot of information to light. Aaron, thank you for joining us. And remember, listeners, if we want to keep Florida the greatest place to live, work, shop, play, we have got to get involved and engaged and protect our state. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us. And thank you, listeners. Have a great and amazing weekend.